Hello, Samson here. So, before we go into today's book review, I have been somewhat not active for some 2 weeks, and this is due to um, circumstances I think beyond my control. I wasn't able to control whatever was happening, but I still remained a reader, or still the same, regardless of not having enough time to do a book review and all that. But I am back. So just tied up for some 2 weeks, but I am back. So I was reading an interesting book, The Simple Path to Wealth, that is by Jay Collins. It's a financial book that I was reading. I'm so much into finances and financial books and whatnot. So Jay Collins, I think, puts out a lot of insights which can be of help everywhere, I think, in the world. So the simple path to wealth is divided into 4 parts. So the first part, the second, third, and fourth, where the third part of the book is biased, if I can put it that way, which is mostly talking about how you can invest in the American type of investments that they have when we're talking about the 401k and other stuff that are related. But then diving right into the book, in the introduction, I was fascinated by the fact that he's talking about money is something that is important, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life thinking about it. Something that is very intriguing, I think, if you might look at it from that perspective. So there is a parable right after the introduction of a monk and a minister. So the minister said to the monk that if only you learned how to serve the king, you wouldn't have to live on rice and beans. Tragically or ironically, we might put it in another way, where the monk was actually telling the minister that if only you would learn to live on rice and beans, then you wouldn't have any need to serve the king. So you might want to think about what the parable is talking about exactly. So the first part is talking about orientation. So that is where we're diving into what the book is talking about. So in the first chapter, we're talking about debt, which is a burden. Because it cripples your finances and it doesn't give you a lot of freedom on controlling your finances and everything. So why is it that you need FU money? So there is a concept called FU money that is being discussed in the book. And the concept of FU money is basically dealing with the fact that FU money is money that's going to give you freedom of choice and everything else that you might need in order for you to live a life of the choices and the options that you need. And then the other chapter, I think should be chapter 3, where he's asking a question: can anyone retire a millionaire? And the question, the answer to that is quite simple. The fact is, it's possible, but then because of how relative money is to all of us, it's practically not doable. So you might definitely need something aside from just looking at a salary. Then how you think about money is another concept that is being discussed in the book. So there are a lot of ways on how people think about money, but the basic concept is the fact that you need to think about money in terms of letting your money, the money that you earn money, and the earned money should be able to earn more money. So there are a lot of opportunities that you can look around in order to earn and earn and earn and earn. And then investing in a raging bull or a bear type of market, that is in chapter 5, where we're discussing financial markets. So you're talking about stocks, you're talking about bonds, and you're talking about different financial instruments to look at. And then in the second part of the book, Jay Collins is discussing how to harness the world's power of wealth building. And when we're talking about this, you're simply referring to the fact that chapter 6 is talking about there is a crash that is coming in the financial markets. But then there is something interesting, that it's possible that the market is going to crash, but financial markets are always shooting up. Stocks specifically, when you talk about stocks, you're talking about the fact that a stock is always going to be going up. This is because the stock is simply you having a share in a company that is running, and the purpose of most companies is that they can make profit. So when you get to invest in stocks, you get to have a few of the growth of the company and whatnot. And then the market is always going to be going up, as I explained earlier on. And I think two basic reasons for that. That is simply because the market is self-cleansing. That is the first one. And the second one is simply because it's something that has got life. So your investment in stocks and all that is something that has life, might put it that way. But why is it that most people lose money in the market? So there are quite a lot of different reasons why people lose money in financial markets, and it has to do with the psychology that is just behind the management of funds. Volatile markets are not friendly markets for our psychology as human beings, looking at greed and several other factors. Now, the big ugly event in chapter 9, where we're discussing that most people lose money in the financial market because of our psychological tendencies, as I explained earlier on. And then the other thing is looking at the fact that inflation and deflation are key factors to help in economic growth. So when you talk about inflation, it helps or allows rather the expansion of wages and other different things in an economy. So a bit of inflation is actually useful and helpful when it comes to the running of the economy. And then keeping it simple in consideration and certain tools. So basically here what you're referring to is the fact that there are three considerations to make in order for you to make an investment, and there are three basic tools to use. So the three tools are stocks, bonds, and then cash. So you might want to invest like 75% of your money that's in government bonds, and then 20% rather in stocks, and then 5% in cash, because you might need it for emergencies and other things. And then the reasons why you need to invest, basically there are three of them. So it's either you're going to invest in order to preserve your money, or you're going to invest your money in order for you to build your wealth. And then the other reason might be a combination of those two. So those were some of the things I think that I got from the book. So chapter 3, as I mentioned earlier on, is biased on looking at how the American system works in terms of investments in the 401k and other things. So diving right into the last part, that is part 4 of the book, what to do when you get there, that is when you've become financially independent and all that. So there is going to come a time in your life where at your age, the only thing that is going to matter is time, not money. So it's okay for you to lose money at that age, but it's not okay for you to lose your time. Now, the thing we're looking at is how to give like a billionaire, and then what is the next thing that you're planning for your kids, let's say the next decade or so. So how to give like a billionaire, the basic thing is you definitely are looking at the fact that giving isn't just so that you're a billionaire or something like that, but you're going to give out of what you have. The principle is looking at the fact that there are habits that you might have built already, and then for you to be able to prepare for your children, maybe let's say in the next decade, or someone who's in their early 20s, you're looking at the fact that you need to avoid debt, bad debt, that is, because Kiyosaki talks about having good debt. Good debt is where you use other people's money to make a lot of money. And then you're also talking about spending the next decade, if you're in your 20s, making a reputation in your professional life and your career and all that. And then don't get trapped in lifestyles that are not going to support your life. And then also learn to give as a billionaire. So this was me, Samson. Yeah. I'm sorry for not uploading any videos for the past 2 weeks, but it's going to be consistent now since I'm back home in Zambia, and I appreciate the guys for coming me back home. Yeah, so till we meet in the next segment, I am checking out.